calling Hollywood, California. We are live from the VIP lounge at the Chinese Theatre as the official podcast partner for this festival, and I'm your host, Indiana Underhill, the founder of Cinematography for Actors, as well as a cinematographer, and I'm joined with someone I truly admire, and I'm sure was freaked out by me approaching him yesterday in the lobby, but I'm glad we have him, Nic Novicki, comedian, actor, and producer, based in Los Angeles, but traveling worldwide for everything.
Yes.
Nic, welcome. Thank you for joining us in our first episode.
Hey, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah.
And that was exciting to kind of be the opening night at HollyShorts and to have you as a fan of the Nateland podcast
I know,
and other things and, hearing us. So shout out Nateland to the folks.
Shout out to Nateland and all the gout jokes, mattress jokes, and Nate's weird eating habits over the podcast that he's become more healthy, it seems. I mean, I feel like that podcast, which I love your episodes, are always so great because it feels like you're a part of your group of friends, which is so fun. But more importantly, or equally as important, whatever you want to think, is your panel that you are having based off of being the founder of the Easterseals Disability Film Challenge. And this is happening on Sunday. It's called Casting Authentically. Can we talk a little bit about how it was brought together, what the hopes are, and the film showing, things like that?
Sure. So a little bit of background about me, for those that don't know me. First off, I'm a little person wearing kind of a crazy shirt. I got a little bit of scruff on my face if you can't see me.
Yeah.
And I am the founder and director of the Easterseals Disability Film Challenge. By trade, as you mentioned, I'm a comedian and actor, but I've always been writing and creating and producing my own content because I'm 3'10". So I was like, look, if I want to be a romantic lead or a gangster, I got to produce it myself. And work has led to work. I've been in 40 TV shows and movies.
Incredible.
Gotten the chance to work with Martin Scorsese, the Farley brothers, a lot of people that I've always looked up to, but most of that was been me creating my own opportunities. So 10 years ago, I looked around, I was like, why aren't more people with disabilities creating their own opportunities? We're 1 in 4 of the population, according to the CDC. Roughly 1 in 4 Americans identify as having a disability.
That's a huge part of the population. That's insane.
It's insane.
Yeah.
But we're in less than 3% in front of the camera and way less behind the camera. So I created the Disability Film Challenge 10 years ago as a opportunity for people with disabilities to create their own opportunities. So each film, which is done over the course of 5 days, has to have somebody with a disability in front of or behind the camera.
That's incredible.
Now, I thought this was going to be a one-off opportunity to help friends with disabilities. Right away, HollyShorts, big shout out, Daniel, Theo, everybody at HollyShorts, came on board and were like, look, we'll screen the winning films. And, it became a reality. And right away, people were like, hey, when is the next one? And casting directors and producers are like, hey, how can I find this actor or this actress or these crew members, that have disabilities? And it grew year after year. In 2017, I partnered with Easterseals Southern California, and it exploded. I mean, to date, we've had over 600 films.
It's insane.
This is our 10th anniversary.
Congrats.
And, our winning films are going to screen on Sunday at 2:30 in the romance block, because romance is the genre this year.
Cool.
Every year, it's a different genre.
Wow.
But back to what we're talking about with this.
Yes.
So, we've really been a resource for the industry, including casting directors. So we partnered with the CSA, the Casting Society of America, on this Casting Authentically panel that we're doing, which features some of the biggest casting directors in the world that have coming out here to just kind of talk and have a organic conversation, open about how they look for talent, how people can think about that for their own independent projects, how actors can kind of be found, be discovered. But really, this is not just about a discussion. This is about a chance for networking. It's about actors and filmmakers, HollyShorts filmmakers, to meet other film challenge participants. It's about people with disabilities meeting each other and and working together, because I feel like that's always been a huge part of my career trajectory. Is working with people, whether you have a disability, whether you don't, and then all of a sudden you become friends, and then it's not about the storyline of disability. It's just about, hey, all these other crazy things. Like if you're a fan of the Nateland podcast, you may have heard some stories of me crashing minivans or all these other things. There's all these other elements of my life beyond me being a little person, and so I think these festivals, it's all about just meeting people and learning from each other.
One of the most exciting things I think as well is like inclusivity is huge, but I think one of the biggest words for me working in film is accessibility, and on every level. So whether it be vendor support, so equipment that's accessible to any film production, getting people to shoot movies more, accessibility of the type of stories that are being told on screen, the type of people that you're working with in front of the camera and behind the camera. That's like a huge theme. I mean, authenticity is like the word I think everyone's using, but I think even deeper than that, I think accessibility, and I think this is tackling that head on. So with the Disability Film Challenge, have you guys been able to build a roster of like crew or talent that people can choose from?
Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, basically, and if you want to learn more about this, go to disabilityfilmchallenge.com. But everything is self-driven. So you register once we open up our submissions. Usually we open up around Sundance, and typically, although we haven't announced the dates, it's usually in March, end of March, early April, our 5-day competition. But then people make their own films. They submit them to us, and then we put them on our YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram channel. And talking about accessibility, we professionally caption each film. You know, we have a lot of deaf participants.
Amazing.
So if you come to the panel on Sunday at noon, we'll have ASL interpreters. And everything we do, we try to be as accessible as we can. That's been a huge part of my life. I've been very honored to talk a lot about disability representation, but also being, you know, an advocate, you know, for disability rights. You know, I spoke at the 11th anniversary of the Americans with Disabilities Act with Bob Dole. You know,
Fantastic.
Going back. Now this is the 33rd
Yes,
anniversary, so
yeah.
I'm dating myself a little bit there.
You're good. You're good. It's experience.
But you know, authenticity and accessibility are important factors, and they really go hand in hand.
Yeah.
And I think the country really wants to feel included, but also they want to be able to access everything, whether it be a movie theater, making sure we have elevators, you know,
Yeah.
all these little things
Yeah.
that come into play, because spaces can be accessible for, you know, the Americans with Disabilities Act and have wheelchair seating.
Yeah.
But then again, when for us, we got wheelchair users, hey, there can't be any steps. If you want to go down on the screen, we got to
Right.
make sure there's a ramp.
Right.
And we need to make sure, you know, speaking for you, like as a crew member,
Yes.
this all goes to, you know, that thinking of, you know, being fully accessible, but also universal design.
Right.
Because if there's a ramp, that's easier for you to bring equipment down.
Totally, I know.
And
Yeah.
you know,
when we're scouting, it's like
Exactly.
it's the same questions what we're asking. Like you're saying, you know, 1 in 4 people identify with a disability or have one, and I think it's so wild. As a quick story, you know, my father went blind 2 years ago, suddenly over 2 weeks. And we started as a family noticing how inaccessible spaces have become, and how we take for granted our ability to navigate kind of our world every day, where when suddenly a challenge is faced by like a certain person, the majority of the population's unaware. And so the awareness around, even through film, which is a medium that brings people together, I think is like a really great step for awareness and changing things.
Yeah, and I think also, I'm a huge fan, obviously being a comedian, I think that when you can use comedy or entertainment to tell a story or make a point, I think it goes a lot further than kind of preaching or explaining.
Yes.
Now, there is definitely an important thing about all this work that is being done about people being advocates and speaking up and showing out. For me, my whole kind of philosophy is, hey, let's tell a joke and sprinkle it in, you know, and do that kind of thing. Or, you know, connect people, or whether that be as an actor or a writer or a director or a comedian.
Absolutely.
And you can kind of tell your story, and sometimes that gets more of a broad message, but it's all important, all these different things that are done. And you know, there's a disability rights advocate, Judy Heumann. I don't know if you saw the movie Crip Camp.
No, I haven't.
I highly encourage you and everybody else. It's on Netflix. It's a documentary. You know, it tells her story, and it's really about the founding of the Americans with Disabilities Act and about everything she did to kind of further disability inclusion. So, you know, really, I stand kind of on the footsteps of so many disability rights advocates. that have really kind of paved the way for me and so many other people to be able to live our lives and kind of excel and have fun and party. Speaking of party, fun times at the opening night.
No
HollyShorts.
FOMO for you yesterday.
No FOMO. I had a comedy show. I was like, I'm not going to bed even though I have a 2-year-old. I'm going back to HollyShorts.
Exactly. At the Chinese. So one of the things I'm really excited about, and I hope they'll touch on, is also when looking at casting, have you guys discussed like directors or producers looking outside the bounds of what they were originally thinking for that role? Because I think that would be such a huge part of it, because not only can you get, individuals who are, looking to be cast for that role who can provide something you may never have thought of, but I think just like that open-minded kind of perspective is really important, right?
Yeah, no, that's a great thing that you brought up. And I think that's what panels like this are so important for, because when you get some of the biggest casting directors in the world, and they're also not only there to talk, but to just hang out and have a drink, eat a bagel, something, joke with somebody else that's in a wheelchair or blind or deaf or little, and all of a sudden now you're like, hey, you know what, I had no idea they worked at a bank. They could be great for this role I'm casting. And so I think things like that, that's how honestly I've gotten a lot of work based on just being out and knowing people. And of course you still have to study and you still have to have a body of work, but the more you're out there and can be seen and be discovered and getting exposure, it's all about access. And that's what HollyShorts is so great about. It's giving a platform and the opportunity for talent to be discovered and to build their network. And so that's what's so exciting for all these filmmakers. Big shout out to the winners of the 2023 Easterseals Disability Film Challenge. We had 115 films made from around the world, and these 4 films are screening in the romance block on Sunday. So
have to check it out.
You got to check it out. And really, I think that not only is this a panel about casting authentically, it's a reception, it's a party, but it's a celebration of the 10th anniversary of the Easterseals Disability Film Challenge, of the community, of these filmmakers. And you know what? I feel like from opening night, it's just feeling so celebratory, and I'm just excited.
Congratulations on 10 years since you founded this challenge.
Thanks.
Just to wrap us out, so this is the Cinematography for Actors podcast, and one of the biggest things I always talk about, I love networking and community building, but one of the biggest things I talk about is education and community building. So how do we tell the same story on screen? And that's through common language, which is the visual medium. And so how do we work better with actors, who's in front of the camera and who's behind the camera, to tell that story? Because the best cinematography is not the most beautiful cinematography, it's the one that tells the story. And so I'm so happy that we are both kind of representing those values here with education and growing our industry just a little more. I want to thank our sponsors as well. Actually, speaking of accessibility, we have just partnered with the company We Make Movies. And We Make Movies is going to be using our code CFA23. You're going to be able to get 10% off your insurance quote and comprehensive insurance packages. So not only are you going to be able to shoot more movies, but you're going to be able to get those line items down and that budget down just a little bit. So if you're interested in doing that, visit wemakemovies.org/insurance and use code CFA23 on your intake form for 10% off your quote. As well, a huge thank you to our sponsors, Apogee, Film Tools, Roscoe, Lightstone Rentals, Canon, and First Mile Tech, which is all a part of our community as well. Thank you so much, Nic. Everyone come out to the Casting Authentically conversation and reception on this Sunday, August 13th at 11:30 a.m. That'll be at Japan House, right?
That's right.
And you'll be there.
I'll be there.